Welcome back to our podcast at Home on the Lakeshore, where we talk about home loans with our local home loan experts at UnitedOne Credit Union. My name is Mike, and this is episode number 26. And I'd like to welcome back in our local home loan experts, Carrie, Marla, Julie. Welcome back to the podcast.
Hello.
Hello.
Thank you. Hello, everyone.
How are you all doing today? Doing well?
Sun is shining. Bring it on.
The warm weather is really feeling great. You know, that 20 degrees. Woo. Bring out the shorts.
We're having a heat wave.
Yeah. It's been a bitter cold winter when we're all excited to see temps in the mid 20s and maybe even into the 30s here in the next week or so. So it's just, that's good old Wisconsin winters. Aren't they great?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, they are. I saw a guy shoveling in his shorts yesterday.
Wow.
Yeah.
It was above zero. We're in the Midwest.
He's anxious for spring. It happens in Wisconsin. I understand.
Yep. That's why back in college, you'd see people walking around campus with hoodies on because it's a little chilly, but still wearing shorts because it wasn't that chilly. Quite the fashion statements.
Yes.
Anyways, let's talk a little bit about our topic today, but we will be talking about when is the right time to refinance. But I would probably be strongly chastised if we didn't go to Julie's joke of the show. So without too much ado, Julie, please.
All right, here it comes. Are you guys ready?
Ready.
Speaking of cold, what do spies do when they're cold?
Spies do when they're cold.
I don't know. What?
Ooh, I don't know.
They go undercover.
Oh my God. Nice.
Yeah, nice.
Good one, Julie.
Nice.
I see you've upped your game.
Oh, have I?
When the bar is set at a certain level,
Yes. I know. Okay. I know. I'll be here next month.
Yep. Hold your applause, please, folks, till the end of the show. With that icebreaker, we can move into today's topic. So we know that our local home loan experts here at UnitedOne, we're going to share some tips and some key things to keep in mind, because we know with the current rate environment that's out there that there are some expectations, or should we say hope, at least, that rates may be coming down. So we wanted to ask this question and pose that to our experts here for today's discussion. When is the right time to refinance?
That's always a very good question. Is it rate driven? Is it term driven? So a lot of times people will call in, members will call in to us and ask that question. But I find myself asking the question back to them is, what is your goal? What do you want to add money? Is it just, again, rate? Do you want your rate to drop because your friend has a lower rate? Do you want to retire in 10 years and want to make sure that the loan is paid off? So we kind of give you an overall picture of what is your goal? What do you want to see?
So it's not always just about the rate. Sometimes it can be about the term or the payments or what you're planning on for the future, or where you're at in your life stage at that time. Okay.
Correct. Sometimes they've put down, maybe while they were working, maybe they were making double payments, or maybe they sold a second home or a different home, or inherited money and now put down, maybe they had the ability to put down $100,000. Okay, that changes when to maybe refinance or how to refinance. Or maybe rates aren't changing or dropping as fast as you thought they were going to. So we can do different calculations to say, based on today's rates and what your original rate was, there's break-even points. Out on our website, there's mortgage calculators, and there is different ways we can play with it and say, okay, here's closing costs. Here was your original loan amount. This is what you want to refinance. This is what your original rate was. This is what the new rate is. And then a break-even point. So then by paying closing costs, it's going to take 2 years to break even after that rate drop or paying those closing costs. But sometimes that doesn't matter to somebody if they've already put down that 100,000. So we have, like that's where that conversation comes in is,
Right.
What is your goal?
Another thing I like to do with people is kind of take a look at where they are in their amortization schedule. If you have been paying on your mortgage for a long time, we can run an amortization schedule for your current loan and look from the point you're at now to when you have it paid off, how much interest do you have left to pay on that loan? Versus if you refinance now at the current rates and whatever term you choose, how much are you going to pay in interest on that new loan? Because sometimes maybe if you're halfway through or closer to being paid off, you might have less interest to pay leaving it alone than by refinancing it.
Interesting.
Yep, that's another very good point too.
Another thing you can consider too is like your mortgage type. Like if you're in an FHA and your credit has improved or your situation has improved, you could look at refinancing into a conventional so that way you can avoid paying the PMI or private mortgage insurance, as well as maybe lower the rate too, right?
Right.
Exactly. And sometimes, if you're looking to get some cash out, obviously we know over the last, 5 years ago, 6 years ago, rates were down in the 2s and the 3s, but you maybe want to do a debt consolidation. Is refinancing your best option? Yes, if you've got some credit cards that are all at 25%, even changing that 3% interest rate in a refinancing and combining that debt consolidation with your first mortgage, maybe the rate's at 6% or 5.75. It sounds like a lot going up from 3 to 5.75, but when you're coming down from a debt consolidation and you're paying 25%, the 5.75 isn't that bad locked in. Or we look to, okay, yep, nope, you're adamant. Maybe you want to leave that at 3%. We leave that alone and then do the second mortgage for that debt consolidation. So those are all like pieces that come together with the refinance that we're going to talk about and say, okay, again, what is the goal? Where is that break even? What are you looking for?
Right. And no two members are going to have the same scenario. Their mortgage is different, their situation's different, their goals are different. So,
Yes.
Utilizing some of these tools like, that the mortgage calculator that Julie is sharing is a really good starter point. And then, of course, always coming to us and connecting with us so we can continue that conversation and really tailor and figure out what if refinancing does make the most sense, or maybe like Julie said, maybe there's a different option we could look at doing.
Yeah, just a shameless plug here from me. If you want to check out mortgage calculators, we do have them available on our website. Just visit UnitedOne.org. That's UnitedOne, all spelled out, .org. And then you can find the calculators on our website there. So you can play around with this a little bit, see what a refinance would be for you, kind of get an idea. We do have our rates posted online as well, so we're not scared or shy to share those. I know in some cases it's hard to find what those are out there. Not here at UnitedOne. You can view our rates, and of course, as always, you have our local home loan experts that you can reach out to if you have any further questions or if you want to see what your personal situation is like and see what options you may have or things that are out there. So I know it's a lot more than just the rate, But I do know when it comes to refinancing, that's probably one of the top items that comes up. Are there any rules or guidelines that you recommend for people as they're looking at these rates and they're wondering when the market might adjust, that at least in general, what you would recommend for folks looking for a refinance, at what point from a rate standpoint they would want to make a move or when it makes sense?
So the mortgage rule of thumb, and again, some people follow it, some people don't follow it, but the rule of thumb is 1%. But then we'll ask, okay, are you changing your term? Maybe people are ready to go from a 30-year to a 20-year to a 15-year. Well, then that rule of thumb gets kind of tossed out because now we're changing the term, or if cash out. But if you're truly just looking to refinance from your existing to the new rate, rule of thumb is a full percentage by the time you start making up some closing costs and time.
But I
Okay.
would say if you're even having the thought, get in touch with your lender, ask the
Mhm.
questions, and we can take a look at things and have a conversation and figure out what makes the most sense for you.
Yeah, I think that's something that folks may forget too, is those closing costs or other costs that might be involved with a refinance. So
Hmm.
talking to an expert or talking to your lender to find out what those would be and how much those might cost could also be beneficial in making that decision to truly make sure that you're doing it at the right time and that you're getting the most benefit out of the refinance to achieve, as our lenders are saying here, your personal goals depend on where you're at in your journey.
For sure.
Excellent.
Yep.
Yeah. Exactly.
What other tips might we want to let folks know about if they're thinking about perhaps this year is the year for them to refinance or readjust where they're at with their mortgage?
We do post our rates online as well. Keep in mind that rates can change on a daily basis. They can change without notice. So until you truly start the application and lock your rate, anything can happen. So sometimes it's good news of what we have posted online. When you call in and we talk out your scenario, maybe the rate went down, but the opposite can happen. So just keep in mind that rates can change at any point. And I think we're in a market right now that things are changing and the feds are looking at things and just the market is always changing. So it's, if you see something today, call us, talk it out. Let's have that talk, but tomorrow it could be different. But we can still start the application. You can still watch the process or watch rates through the process. And then when you're ready, we lock in that rate.
So talk
I would,
about that process, Julie, or Marla, Carrie, feel free to chime in as well. So we know when you're buying a home from scratch, right, or you're starting, that's a longer process. But when it comes to a refinance, what's a rough idea of the timeline in there? I'm assuming it's a shorter process to refi versus purchase, but walk us through how that process works, if you could.
It's not always shorter because there's a process every
Hmm.
mortgage has to go through. It may be like, let's say you don't need a full appraisal. Maybe we can look at running a report called an AVM and comparing that value to your value on your tax bill. That goes a lot quicker, so we may be able to close in a shorter amount of time than say the standard maybe 30 days. Each file is a little bit different. It depends on how quick you get us your documentation as well. The sooner we get your paperwork, the sooner it gets to underwriting.
Okay.
I was just gonna say about the tips for like if you're considering refinancing, um, you know, I think it kind of goes back to what Julie was saying about, yeah, the rates, everyone has this idea of keeping an eye on the rates, but truly if you're considering refinancing, thinking about what is your goal in refinancing. Is it to lower the rate? Is it to lower the payment? Is it to pay it off as quick as you can? Is it to consolidate debt? There's so many things that you could be doing, and having a focus or a goal on what that refinance looks for you is a great starting point too.
Excellent. Also, some great discussions here around this topic. With refinancing, this could be one of those years where as those rates are moving or as the situation is changing for individuals, as you guys have all shared, is that, not just a rate thing, but as we're looking at the market and the environment and what might be out there for each of you listeners individually, could be worth having a conversation with one of your local home loan experts to see what options you may have. Is there any other items we want to add here before we close out today's show?
Give us a call. We're here for you. We want to help you.
Excellent. Okay, well, thank you, experts, for joining us again here today and for giving some information. So, if you have any questions about home loans or the home buying process, or yes, even if you want to learn a little bit more about a home refinance or mortgage refinance in your particular individual situation, you can work with the local home loan experts here at UnitedOne Credit Union. You can contact us by email at homeloans@unitedone.org. And if you have any questions for our group, we'd love to highlight and answer your questions. And even if you're willing, we could highlight them on a future show. Other listeners just like you may have the same questions, and we'd love to have some questions come in from our members and listeners about what you're thinking about around this, and maybe we can answer that right on our next podcast. So we encourage you to give us a like and rate us wherever you get your podcasts and download them and listen to them. And also feel free to share that with others. You're welcome to follow us on social media. We're on Facebook, where we can be found at Facebook/UnitedOneCU. And we're also on Instagram with @UnitedOneCU. Until next time, thank you all for joining us and take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.